to kind of get...
Live streaming is on.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever peer group from the first ever cohort. Very exciting. So, since we are still defining the structure for this peer group, I think we talked about it last time. I don't remember. I think that was not a stream session, but we met to discuss if you guys want to have a peer group and how to structure it. And we decided on, I think, 3 main pillars for the group, right? Which is, number 1 is that every one of you set their own high-level goals of what you are planning on working on for yourself, right? If it's the project you started with in the cohort or not, it's less of the point. I think the point was more that you were all hoping to benefit from a continued kind of accountability and, peer check-in like we had in the cohort, right? And then number 2 would be to break that high-level goal down into weekly commitments. And that is what we are going to hold each other accountable for week to week, basically. And then we also said that everyone is open or free to choose their own build in public way, right? Like, so you commit to sharing timeframes as well as sharing where the platforms, Twitter, blog, whatever, or none for that matter, right? So that is up to you individually. Again, my stance on it. I would highly encourage you to do something. Doesn't have to be every day, but I think you should consider following the build in public, at least in some way, shape, or form. So with that being said, I told you guys I'm going to work on kind of a platform where we're going to put all of this together. That has not materialized yet, so I will keep notes and facilitate so that you guys you can focus on your problems and discussing them or your challenges. And I'll keep notes and share it with you guys. I'll keep it in Notion for now. Maybe we can even just do a Notion page, a shared Notion page or something for now, which we keep updated. And then we can keep working on that as we go. But, that can change. So that's kind of my suggestion. If you have any questions or suggestions before we get into your individual topics, I think now would be a good time. Otherwise, we'll just get right started. No? All right. Oh, there is one more thing, actually. I might as well have this in the beginning. So you, I think, all followed in at least a little bit with cohort 2 already. So you all know about Timo. I talked to Timo the other day. He was asking me if it was possible to do another cohort, just in kind of like you already asked in the past too. And I said, yes, absolutely, of course. But I also told him that I would ask you guys if you would be open to have him in this peer group, because I suggested that to him, and he's actually very interested, and I think he would fit right in from a personality and kind of motivational perspective.
I'll add him in tonight.
Yeah, he's not ready.
Get him on the phone.
Yeah. So he did say he wants to, after the cohort ends, right? So not to do 2 things at the same time. But he would like to join in. But I told him that, since this is the first peer group, there is no structure on how that would work. In my opinion, if someone wants to join a peer group, it's kind of like you apply, and then the existing group decides if that's a fit or not. That's what I would suggest. So if you guys are all interested in having him, and if you see any more value from that, then great. If not, no hurt feelings. I think that's fine too.
Yeah, I'd like to, but assuming this time probably wouldn't work for him, right?
He's pretty flexible with times. So since that's just once a week, I think he could make it work. But again, I don't think we necessarily need to talk about the details yet. Mm-hmm. If it works for him, great. If he joins and he asks you if you guys can change it, then we'll fix that issue at that time. If it doesn't work because of the time, that's also fine, right? It's a decision for the individual. The peer group exists as it is, I think. And if it's a fit for someone and you guys want him there, then great. And then once he is in the peer group, again, structural format issues are going to be brought up with the group and fixed as we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, everyone thumbs up? or
Yep.
no? Yeah, cool. All right, I'll let him know. Yeah, that's all from me. So like I said, from now on, after we have our structure and kind of know how we run these, I am trying to be mostly the fly on the wall and just kind of guide you guys along. I would like to start though with doing the round robin here for everyone to define their goal, what they're gonna commit to for the next week, and how they want to build in public.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna take turns.
Yeah.
Or just all right.
Yeah.
So,
If you want to start, and then just pass it on to someone.
okay, great. So I'll go first. I dumped everything I was doing in the past and started a new project, database. Kidding. So every day since the cohort ended, unfortunately, I've debated going back and forth. I talked to Sven a couple times about this on, well, since I didn't launch, even though I'm close to finishing the project, do I just give up on it? But then I always go back to the whole point of the cohort, of course, was to launch the product, right? It's to actually launch it and get something done. So I said that's kind of a slap in the face to the entire premise of why I joined and to the point of the program in general. So I just want to complete put in the finishing touches on and actually launching it, and then moving on to the next idea. And the reason why I wanted to scrap it is because I had another idea came up that gave me it made me a lot more excited. So I wanted to pay more attention to that. But in the end, again, the whole point of this was to launch. And even though, while I didn't launch in the original 30 days, I'm so close, I think it would be quite a waste of my own time to not see this through. So with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and continue completing the original project, which was Optionator. And I'm going to build in public in the sense of just once a week blog posts, continuing with my personal blog. I also haven't updated the blog since the cohort ended, but I just took a look at Google Analytics and had another 10 unique visitors over the past week, which is amazing, especially because I'm not doing anything with it and no longer advertising it. The only place I advertised it was on Twitter, where I had a number of impressions, but they have 10 unique views or users rather over 7 days. That was surprising. So someone's curious about something, I assume. So I'll continue there because that keeps me accountable in one way. And then as far as large-term goals, I think that I work much better in short-term 1 week goals. So I'd like to just continue going that route. So I make my goals public here and what I plan to accomplish over the next week, and then I discuss them and mark them off weekly, because that's what really worked great. And that's the only time that I actually progressed in the original project was back in the cohort where I made once a week goals. So with that in mind, with Optionator, I'm probably 75-80% of the way there to completing an MVP to actually release. So for next week, by this time, do you want specific goals, Sven, or is this?
Yeah, I think so. So as of now, I have your big goal is completing Optionator. Building public is once a week blogging, and then what is by next week, what are you trying to have accomplished?
Okay, great. So then that would be switching out the API from a paid service to a free one that I had found, because that's the only way that I can deem this to be launchable is if I'm not paying a monthly fee to support it. So switching out the API and then finishing the very basics of the options trading calculator. And then with those two complete, I'd probably be at 95% of the way there. So then the thought would be the second week would be the final finishing touches to actually then release the app.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine too, by the way. I think if you guys already want to plan more than 1 week, or at least, you set it up, and of course it can change week over week, right? But if you want to do that, I think that's perfectly fine and might help, with kind of just having your eye on the tiger.
Yeah. So I'll probably be playing that song on loop to get this done. But that's really my motivation here is to say, let's get this done, get this launched, and so I can then focus on the new idea that I had there, the web developer utility.
Do you want me to put that already in the high level goals?
Sure, because that's what I can't wait to jump on.
Okay, I'll just put it like that. No more details for now. All right.
And then I think that does it for me. So I will pass the ball here to Arki.
All right. So I guess number one, the high-level goal is to launch, right? This tool that I've been playing with and building. So the way I'm going to launch it is probably this is going to happen within the week. It's going to be, I'll put it on GitHub. Hopefully I get some whatever users that come and ask questions and so on. Probably that will take longer than a week, but at least it will be out there. So I guess the commitment that I'm going to make is to maybe give an update when it's launched and just really start interacting with the community. For example, asking which labeling tools they use, right? Just to get some feedback, maybe to get immersed in that, how do you call the Twitter groups? Whoever is related to that area. And I think, to be honest, because I've made progress over the last week, I think I only need a week to release this. And probably I'll need to think with how to move on, right? Maybe take the tool and make it a web app. That's one option. The other one is just drop it. And the reason that dropping it is an option is because there are so many other tools like it. So we don't need yet another one that does the exact same thing. So unless I find something very unique that I could offer, I'm not going to just start doing web development because it's very, I know the basics, but I think it's just too much of a task just for me, to be entertained and happy about it. So I guess, so the building in public means having the GitHub presence, the Twitter presence, and interact with the community. I'll also work on the landing page and maybe some documentation, right? Which is, I don't want to release something that people don't know what it is and how to use it. So I'll work on that.
So can you be more specific on the build in public? Like, do you want to commit to a certain cadence in any of those platforms?
Yeah. Okay. So the within a week I'll release on GitHub, but also maybe the tweeting will be twice in this week.
Twice per week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Arki, would it be fair to say? Actually, no. I don't even know if I want to ask it that way, but. So your goal is to release this tool, but that's kind of that's almost a near-term goal, right? You said you can probably do it this week. What is your ambition? What do you want to get out of this peer group longer term?
Right. So I guess maybe I haven't forgotten about the cohort 1, right? So this idea that the recipe recommendations, there are really, again, I found a lot of recommender systems for recipes, classifiers. The difference that I see, maybe a unique angle, is that I can specialize on tweets because I have all the infrastructure that I built for cohort 1 where I can download recipes, and that's in a way a unique data set that can be exploited. So I think if this goes well, then I will be using this tool that I'm going to launch this week to start working on the umami thing back again.
Okay. So that's good because that's kind of what I was getting at, right? If your goal is to just, I think for all of you, right? Like it's totally also fine and helpful to set yourself more abstract goals. Like I want to be, like even for you, it could be, I want to become more proficient in web development, right? That could be a big, like long-term goal. And then launching these tiny little products is very beneficial to that. But right now it sounds like the goal is more like launching something which might be potentially making revenue, right? Like that's of course like the really high level goal. Mm-hmm. But like breaking it down like that is, I think, totally fine. Or it could be just launching a couple of things, right? Like over the next couple of months.
Right.
Like that could be a goal.
Okay. So I guess maybe in those terms, the long-term goal, let's say within the next 2 months, it would be great to have a, how you call it, the software as a service that classifies recipes from Instagram. That would be it. That would be the ultimate goal. This intermediate release is just a tool that I built for myself to get there, right? So I'm doing this step by step without
Okay.
losing track of the long-term goal.
Okay, great. That seems reasonable.
Okay, so
Who's going next?
So Emmy, since we're choosing.
Yay, I got picked. Okay, so I think like for the first few weeks at least, I want to continue with the like content creation community side, because like I want to continue building this, right? I want this to continue to be at least part of my long-term goals. But I'm also like I'm trying to learn a new tool and I'm trying to get my shit organized in Notion. So for now, I want to keep it kind of around the community and then maybe add in some like marketing and sales goals in the coming weeks. So I'm going to start out with my goals, my weekly goals, as 1 YouTube video a week and 2 clips on TikTok, while I also try to organize everything in Notion so that I'm more sane and learn DaVinci Resolve. And then I'm going to kind of reassess and see what I want to do in terms of like having more goals for getting my products out to people as opposed to just building whatever I'm building. For my build in public, I'm going to tweet 3 times a week, TikTok twice a week, and then blog once a week.
Tweet 3 times a week, TikTok. How many?
Twice.
Twice a week. And what was the last? Blog once a week?
Blog once a week, yes.
All right. Who's going next?
Justin.
All right, well, guys, my new project.
Yes, so I think my big overall goal here is to actually get people into the platform in the next 2 to 3 weeks and start garnering some information. So that's my big goal right now, just to get somebody into the platform using it. My weekly goals, I'm going to go with once a build in public Twitter post, and then I'm going to couple that with outreach to early stage startups looking for community managers, where I can DM them either on Twitter or try to get in contact with them some other way, to see if what I'm building would be useful, to gain some information in that regard, but as well as start to build the sort of a sales pipeline in that term, because I essentially see my tools focused on community managers. And then that's just what I'm seeing right now, what I'm hearing, people I've talked to, that community is starting to open up, and like there's budget, the community budget is starting to blossom within early stage startups. So I'm trying to capture that and go after that. And so my weekly is just the Twitter post, once build in public, telling everyone what I'm doing, what's going on, maybe even mistakes, stuff like that. And then coupling that with DM outreach or just outreach in general to early stage startups.
Do you want to quantify that, like how many outreaches? So I wrote it down in the following, that your high level goal is get people into the platform, Also, clarifying question: is that the overall platform or BabbleBox?
Oh yeah, BabbleBox.
Okay. Okay, and then also the overall goal is gather information about the usage, right? Like how they would use it for their use case, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Just seeing what they would want, where it fails, where it's good for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next week's commitment is outreach to community managers and building a sales pipeline. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So to start that process, so start to build a list of some sort with those specific requirements, like early stage, just funded, looking for community managers. And I have a few on, that I've, jotted down, but it hasn't been anything that I committed to, so that would be a good thing to commit to in terms of forming a habit.
Okay. So I'll add build a list of community managers to that too, right? So it's outreach to community managers, begin build of sales pipeline, but more specifically, build the list for the community managers. And it sounds like if you have that by the end of the week, you'd be happy already with that, right? Because of course you can always do more.
like a whole list, or are we just talking like I'm talking like at least having one interaction maybe a week with one of those, either community manager or the founder looking for a community manager.
Okay. Yeah. What I meant by list is just like when you're saying building that sales pipeline, you were saying starting to build a list of those types of people, right? Okay. So that, I think that's a very nice, very specific goal for 1 week.
Okay.
Just because these weekly commitments, the more tangible you guys can make them, the easier it is for the other guys to kind of just be like, hey, where are you with this?
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the building public have 1 tweet a week.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Awesome. All right. Any comments, questions for each other on this so far already? What do you hear from each other?
Justin, what's launch for you? Is it getting getting Option Leader on Apple?
Yeah, so actually launching in the Mac App Store.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's still sort of debatable. The main thing was launching just to have the application out in the public. So whether they download it from the website or in the Mac App Store, that was the original launch criteria. And I'd kind of prefer to do that just to keep things simple. And then, but yeah, just having the application released to the public to where somebody could download it and buy it.
Okay. Yeah.
So it sounds like all of us are going back to that original idea, right?
Right.
It's interesting. Maybe we still believe, in those. It's interesting. We like the pain.
Yeah, right.
So, okay. I mean, I think those seem reasonable to me, right? Like, I think there's nothing crazy in there. You guys already learned your lesson. Don't set your goals too high. So that's good. Let's see. Yeah, I think really nothing, no red flags I see here. All right. So now then I think the structure is over. Like, let's free flow from here, right? So whoever is working on something already, who has started with their goals already, if you want help from the others, if you want to report any progress, totally up to you from here.
So Steve, with EngagePad, or from what you showed there on the last week of the cohort, has there been a lot of development that's progressed since then?
Apparently the developer I'm using, they're not very communicating, or they're not communicating enough with me. So I have no idea where they're at. And I've tried to ask them, how, I should have something by mid next week, right? And I'm still trying to get that out of them, and I don't know. I'm not sure if they took on too much, with this project, or they're scrambling to get it done. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm kind of held up. So, I'm right now I'm looking for someone else to take the project off their hand. So that's where I'm at. I mean, they claim that they were on like the last integration, like the indie hackers integration. And then I asked them, is it possible to get Telegram into there, which would probably be a little easier since there's probably an API for that. So I keep adding things, and I guess they might be confused. I don't know. So that's where I'm at. I'm at a standstill.
But you haven't seen anything really since at least the progress that you showed us in the demo.
That was that's basically my prototype that I put together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that wasn't anything that they did. So that's where I'm at right now.
And so I guess, of course, it's up to you maybe to share or not, but I'm guessing you're paying these developers?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's just up to you to disclose it or not, but just to get an idea, because I know about Babelbox, right? And assuming they would implement functionally all those features that you had in mind,
right?
How much is it going to cost you, ballpark?
I'm only at like $3,000 for the
Wow.
for this initial build.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm building it on no code, so it should have been way quicker than this, but I don't know if they took, like I said, I don't know if they bit off more than they could chew.
So this no code thing, so how are you building it?
They're building it within Babelbox, and I'm pretty sure it's a hybrid build, so there's actual code involved.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Okay.
Well, when you say in Babelbox, I mean, what no code environment are they using?
Bubble.
Oh, Bubble. I thought.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Interesting. Okay. I was not aware of Bubble, so I'll take a look.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I played around with it for a bit. Steve was the one who originally told me about it, maybe like a year ago or so, and it's very, very powerful.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
So, Emmy, for video editing there, you're going to upgrade your Mac?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe. We haven't even talked about it again since yesterday, so. It seems fine so far, but I haven't done very much.
But the new video editing software you wanted to install worked?
Yeah, it works. It's just really complicated.
Yeah.
In talking about no code, I know that everyone who does YouTube or video editing, they always complain that it takes so much time. Is there like a no code for video editing? By no code, we mean like a very low effort way to edit videos, right? That would be the meaning of that.
Well, there's like iMovie is what I was using before, which is super easy because you just like drag and drop the clips, and then it's like very much an Apple style of low maintenance. But there's just certain things that you can't do and customize about your videos. Like, I don't know, I just think it's important to like progress in the quality of the editing over the course of a few months. So I guess there's just like, it just seems like there's a cap to like how in depth you can get with the video stuff.
I made some pretty cool videos with just an application on my phone. It was called InShot. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that. And it was like super duper simple, and you can do a lot. Like trim, you could add effects. It was like really super simple. I'm not sure if that would be something you would are looking into, or if you want something.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah. INSHOT.
Cool.
So Emmy, since you just mentioned DaVinci Resolve, you said in your next week's commitment you want to learn DaVinci Resolve, but that's probably a bit depending on how you interpret learn, right? Do you want to commit maybe to just make that one video for next week in DaVinci Resolve?
Yeah, I did. I didn't mean that. Next week I would have my life organized in Notion and know DaVinci Resolve backward and forward. I meant like
Right.
that's kind of the more next few weeks. I want to get comfortable with these things and then reassess my goals. But yeah, we can say that next week's video can be made in DaVinci Resolve. Where is it? Oh, it's right there.
So Arki, you were saying you're having doubts because there is a lot of competition. We did talk about competition, I think, on the coffee meetings a couple times, maybe. I might be mistaken off the form where we talked about it, but I mentioned it, a couple of weeks ago by myself for my own project, right? That it kind of creates that doubt, but also it confirms the market, right? So how do you look at that? And I guess, guys, if you guys should talk about that, like how the positives are about it.
Okay, so maybe I kind of, and I can show you what I have, right? Pretty much the tool that's stable that I built for myself. So going back to Umami, the goal with Umami was to create a bot that would recommend recipes. Even if we get past those limits on Instagram that you have on downloading data and pushing, that you can get banned, that's the danger because they don't like robots on that platform. Still, this idea of recognizing recipes is something that I never implemented for real. I'm using pretty much like a string match and say, hey, if it has ingredients colon, then I assume it's a recipe, right? That just creates so much false positives. It's not a reliable way to detect recipes. So then I thought, because I build infrastructure to download data from Instagram, I do have access to millions of recipes, right? And Instagram recipes are short. So the idea there was, what if I built an algorithm and that I could put a software as a service that would, given a piece of text, it would tell you whether it's a recipe, and if it's a recipe, what type of recipe is it, right? So I do need to label a lot of recipes on Instagram, like, yes, it's a recipe, and what type, like Italian and so on. So then let me share. So then I said, okay, maybe I can bootstrap a basic model that does that. And I created this tool. Do you guys see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so what I was planning to do is to download a lot of recipes into a folder, right? Like data, where for this example, I have 1 text, 2 text, 3 text, and an HTML page. So this tool will scan through all those files, and what you see on top is those are the tags. For example, if I determine that this text is a vegan recipe, then I press enter and I classify it as vegan. Let's say this one is a pizza, then I go on into barbecue, and I keep going and labeling. So if I'm done, of course, I can just stop the tool, and that would let me pretty much, take a break. And whenever I have time, I'll just launch it again, and well, it goes back there, right where it was, so I can continue the labeling. So this works for myself. I think this is a tool that I built for that purpose of making my recipe detection better. I just haven't done that, right? And now it's the time when I would use the tool and label as many recipes as I can. And this is where I started looking into other alternatives. So there are open source tools, and then I'll stop sharing so I can see you. There are many open source tools that do that, but they depend on the web, and it's cumbersome because you need to install it and so on, right? If you want to do it as a team, let's say if you guys would help me label, let's just assume that for a second, web-based is the alternative for that, right? So that I could give you a link, we all start labeling in parallel. We just divide the work. Now, the companies that have launched products around this, they take it to the next level, right? Meaning that they do allow you some collaborative labeling. They have a really nice interfaces, and they do more than just labeling, right? They, for example, assuming they're names of people or ingredients, they can label those ingredients according to what they are. So they give you much more functionality compared to what I have. And again, going back to this thing, I built this tool for myself because I'm the one who is going to label all those recipes. But I also see that this may be a way for teams to start labeling documents. But there are already tools available for that, right? And then the question is, how could I differentiate myself to, those other tools? So that's the doubt that I'm having right now. So again, maybe pivoting into a tool for labeling, that's option one. The other one would be just how do I actually release a recipe classifier? And there, I don't care about the tools. I just do it because it's a different goal.
I'd say from the usability standpoint, I think that being a web app would be, the much better route to go. But then that's where your skill sets are lagging a bit, right? To where it take a much more monumental implementation than going with the command line utility.
Exactly. Right. And so that's why I was asking, this no code Bubble looks interesting. But the question there, for example, would be, I don't know, does Bubble allow you to, let's say, create forms for people to drag and drop a file and unzip all that stuff and then go document by document, present it in a window? I don't know. This is, maybe I'll explore it, but that's the piece. And that's the reason why I went to command line, right? Because it's, for me, so simple to use, but that's just limited to me.
Right. Steve, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, from my experience with Bubble, you'd be able to do exactly what you want by building out, obviously, the UI and then all of the interaction with the user. And then you would then code your own plugin for Bubble that would then do all of the actual work that the CLI app that you built does currently. And then just return that data back. Again, I'm by no means, even a beginner there with Bubble, but from what I've seen and playing around with it, I'm fairly certain that you would be able to accomplish that. Just, of course, taking that file and uncompressing it and then analyzing it and tagging it, that would be done through a plugin you would have to develop for Bubble that you would develop or code yourself.
I see. But then I'm guessing Bubble does not host the code, right? It's up to you in your server. You provide that.
I'm almost positive that you have to host with them.
Oh, okay.
So they take care of all of that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And if that, for example, that would be the solution for my problem, right? If I could just find a way to, create the front end and also write the same functionality I have in the command line interface, but on whatever platform they have, I think that's doable. And this is the nice thing about this no code environments, that they let you do all this stuff that I don't want to do. Right?
Do you So you could just use like a what do they call it? A pre-made UI, couldn't you? If you wanted to.
Yeah, because essentially it's just a box to display text. That's it. And maybe the ability to create tags. Yeah. And when you click a tag, it's enabled, and all that information is saved for later. So when you're ready to export. And a progress bar. That's essentially it. And of course, maybe this is the other thing. Let teams collaborate on the tagging, right? Meaning don't documents that have been tagged to users that need a new document. But that's about it. And this is the thing. It's just so simple that, I mean, I get just building an offering around that. I don't think it's going to fly. There are already 10, right, that do exactly that thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do more research on the companies that are already doing that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with like that tool and who uses it. There's got to be like some sort of a way to niche yourself. You know, like, well, it only works for certain documents. It works best for this type of, I don't know, content. You could also, you know, get on a no-code community and like see, like explain your project and see what how other people would build it. You can go to like no-code founders.
Okay.
That's a community, and everyone's pretty open about whatever. So you just,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
All right.
There's probably like a ton of
just found
resources.
it. That's interesting.
Through like stuff pre-made already that you can just pop in.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look. That sounds interesting.
I think they have their standalone community, and they also have their Slack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aki, I just posted something in the chat. This is a little old. It's just a GitHub project from someone. It's 4 years old, but it's turn your command line tool into a web application. Because why over engineer it, right? Like if if the point is just to have the same thing, maybe there is a wrapper where you can literally just use integrate the tool you currently have into a web app, and then maybe to add an upload function or something for the files, or just point it. Maybe you can even point it to your local system, right? Maybe you don't even have to upload it. I think like thinking outside the box would be interesting for your tool for now, right? Because the primary goal is not to make this necessarily anyway a standalone tool, but to make it more usable and known to the world as something you did as a means to the end, which will help you for your recipe recommendation.
Right. That's interesting. Thanks, Sven. Yeah, I'll take a look at these tools and resources. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, yeah, I made progress, so I think I just want to close this and move on to the recipe recommendation, right? Just to go back to umami, this thing, I would like to see it. I would like to see it classifying recipes accurately.
So Sven, how's the portal going?
It's flying off the walls. No, I have not started with the custom portal yet, but I was gonna see how your conversations go. I did ask last week what if anyone wanted to test something with me, and I already forgot the name of the application I signed up for.
Oh.
But let me think on that for a minute. It'll come to me. It's basically one of those community platforms. But this one is free for quite a bit, and I think it could have worked for us. But I also think it might just be as simple as really literally a Notion page for now, because the point is, I think, just to keep track of it in a simple way, simple as possible, right?
Right.
At least as of now, like you guys don't die to have a profile in the platform or anything like that. I think that'd be nice for sharing purposes, but yeah. No one else has anything they might want to discuss with this group. Why think back, guys. Why are you guys here? right? Like, you're not here because, hopefully, at least over the long term, you should not be here just because that's on the calendar. This is your time to use to learn from each other.
Well, as I mentioned, the biggest takeaway that I get from this for my motivation accountability there is setting these goals ahead of time to where everybody hears them and sees them, and then next week following up with what I progressed with, and then hopefully demoing it as well. Like that's what I think I get the most out of, is to demonstrate to everyone, even if they're not even paying attention, but just to demo what I had done over the past week and what successes I hit. But especially like visually, like for me, visually is huge. But that's what I get out of this the most. That's what I got out of the original program rather the most. I think that's now that we set this back up again and had this original now peer group kickoff, that's what I'm looking forward to from next week on.
Okay, so maybe this is kind of just the beginning again, right? Like, so from next week on, we're going to have to be, we will be in that rhythm and kind of do those check-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one more question or proposal as you speak, because with Cohort 3, which we just had an intro session with 2 days ago, we changed the structure a little bit, and the check-ins with Cohort 3 are going to be Loom videos, 1 to 2 minutes, 2 minutes maximum, and then 8-minute Q&A per project, right? If you guys want to do something like that, at least Justin, from your side, it sounds like you would be up for something like that for demoing and then discussing and showing what we're doing or what you did. If you are interested in that, I can invite you, if I haven't already, into the Loom, the CoStarting Loom account. It's the easiest possible to do a screen share with yourself in video, or just yourself pitching or giving an update to.
So curious, what's the biggest advantage there of doing that as opposed to just on the fly doing a live demo here?
It's just another commitment that you will have to do it and submit it, and then instead of just waiting until the last minute and then you're like, okay, what could I show? But I mean, again, totally up to you guys. That there is no requirement for that. Like, I think it's just a more structured way of committing to showing something next week.
Mm-hmm. I kind of always like the on-the-fly demo.
Yeah, for me, just the video creation and editing is not my thing.
Yeah, like that with Loom is like, it's done, right? Like, it's literally a Chrome extension. But again, if you don't want it, that's totally fine. I think if on the fly is good, I think that's fine. For I mean, you are creating videos anyway. Yours are obviously much longer than 2 minutes, commonly at least. So maybe, I don't know, like you can just share a little bit or something of that. And then, I don't know, Steve, what do you think? What works best for you?
Yeah, I mean, I like this format. Just showing progress. Live, showing what we did. Off the cuff, sort of.
All right, we'll keep it then. Actually, though, that it does sound like you all like that, right? Like the really showing it instead of just talking about it. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, maybe showing it is.
You're muted, Emmy.
Well, a bunch of show-offs.
Yeah.
All I was going to say was that I just don't know if I ever really did it that much anyway, so I never really had that much to take you guys through on our weekly meetings.
I don't know. I disagree. You usually had like screenshots and stuff of your products.
Yeah, but
I
then
mean,
I pre-prepared. Like, I made the slides that one time. I made the video.
One thing you could do is like try on the things that you made.
Fashion show.
Fashion show. Fashion show. Fashion show.
Fashion show
that would be hard this week because You would literally be wearing rugs.
But back to your original question, though, Sven. Yeah, I get the most benefit, I think, out of showcasing what I've been up to.
One other point, which actually the other group made, so we went back and forth between a couple of models. One was to submit it beforehand and then, have that all play before we even jump on the live stream. It would play in the stream, but then everyone jumps on. And then actually, I think Marco said it, that he gets a lot of it out of watching reactions of someone watching his work, which that is actually one of the advantages of doing it through pre-submitted videos, because especially if you are a one monitor type of user, like Arky literally just had this situation, right? When he shares, he doesn't see you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing I could think of. But of course, you could, I don't know, do a split screen or something. There's different ways to go about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I told you already that I agree with that. That it was weird when sharing your screen not to be able to see how people were reacting.
I thought when you share it, you become tiles on the side. Am I forgetting?
No, in the stream you do, but you don't see it, right? If you have one screen and you share your screen, you're obviously not sharing the Jitsi meet. So you don't see the people while you are actually sharing. That's kind of the point.
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll see how we get back to rhythm next week.
All right. Yeah, great. No, we don't have to drag it out like this. Is also, by the way, of course, if you guys you feel like you're done, tell me.
Yeah.
When we're done, shut off the freaking live stream.
I think
so let's do that. All right. So goodbye.